a lot of beautiful things, a lot of opportunities, a lot of attractive people, and it's all very enticing. It's as if happiness exists out there and we can just throw ourselves into the midst of this happy world with all of its pleasures. But when we look again, it's not really such a happy world. Not to mention the suffering of other living beings that we share the planet with. Even to look at what we think is happiness, we quickly see that it doesn't bring any kind of lasting peace or harmony to our lives or to our minds. Because whatever pleasures we have, or people we know, or status we gain, they're all transient. They last a little while and fade away, and we're left with disappointment, loss afterwards. And then we try and seek some other external pleasure. The same cycle happens. And again, disappointment and loss. So the only alternative is to get ourselves out of this cycle. And this cycle is not an external place. It's an internal state of mind, one of ignorance that generates mental afflictions, that create actions that lead again to our taking these 5 polluted aggregates. So it's important to have that kind of worldview, to see our situation like that, and then to see that everybody else's situation is exactly the same. It's not that our cyclic existence is more painful than others, or that we're more important than others. But we all have the same experience. We all want happiness. We don't want suffering. And other beings have been kind to us, so it's only the right thing to do to repay their kindness and to aid them in getting out of samsara. And so to do this, the optimum way is to attain full awakening ourselves. And so to learn the Vinaya, the basis of the path, the monastic discipline, then we're here today. So yesterday we started the Ratthapala Sutta, and this tells the story of the Buddha going to one area or a town named Tulakotita, and a young man named Ratthapala attending his teachings, and at the conclusion of the teachings, having the thought, as I understand the Dhamma taught by the Blessed One, it is not easy while living in a home to lead the holy life, utterly perfect and pure as a polished shell. Suppose I shave off my hair and beard, put on the yellow robe, and go forth from the home life into homelessness. So he had that thought, he expressed it to the Buddha. The Buddha asked him if his parents had consented, and he said no. So he went home to ask his parents' consent. Mom and Dad flipped out, and he was very determined, so he laid down on the floor right there in front of his parents and said, right here, I shall either die or receive the going forth. So the going forth is the when you initially cut your hair and you take some precepts and you are now leaving the home life, going into the homeless life, the monastic life. Okay. The Tibetan term is Rabjung, the Sanskrit term is Pravaja. And so he laid down and his parents pleaded with him, you know, please get up, you've been brought up well, you had no suffering in your life, you're not going to make it if you do this. And he refused, he remained silent, he did not agree. So then Mom and Dad went to his friends, who then came back and made the same plea to Ratthapala, please get up off the floor, you know, come out with us to the cinema, to the pub, and let's have a good time and forget this nonsense. And again, Ratthapala refused. And so at that point, his friends went back to Mom and Dad and said, look, you know, he's going to die if you don't, because he's determined to do this. So you better let him ordain, give him your permission. So the parents gave him his permission. He went back to the Buddha, he became ordained, and within not too long, he actually generated all the realizations of the path and attained liberation. He became an arhat. And at that time, he then went to the Buddha, and after paying respect to him, asked him if he could visit his parents, because one of the conditions when his parents gave him permission to ordain is that he had to come back and visit. So he was, you know, he asked the Buddha for permission to go, and the Buddha was able to look with his clairvoyant powers, and he saw that Ratthapala had eliminated all the defilements, so he was not going to get sucked back into worldly life if he went to visit his family, and gave his permission for Ratthapala to go. So Ratthapala went back to Kulakotita and on alms round, and he went to his, you know, as he was going through the village, he arrived also at his father's house. His father didn't recognize him and just saw this, you know, mendicant outside the front door and flipped out and said, you know, my son did just what you did. I can't stand you guys. Get out of here. And so he left. And at that time he saw one of the servants about to pour out some old porridge, and he said, if you're going to pour it out, just pour it here in my bowl. And she did. And when she was doing that, she noticed that, you know, his voice, his appearance, his hands, everything looked like Ratthapala's. So she went to tell Mom, who told Dad, and Mom and Dad then went and said, you know, why are you eating that horrible porridge? Come in and we're going to make you, you know, your favorite dishes and, you know, pizza and hot chocolate and the whole 9 yards. And Ratthapala said, well, I've eaten today already because, you know, the monastics can't eat after midday. So then his father said, okay, then come for food tomorrow. This is your home. And Ratthapala said, no, it's not my home. I've entered the homeless life. His father said, well, come anyway. Okay, so that's where we stopped yesterday. Okay, so then Daddy is preparing for Ratthapala's arrival. And so he took out all of his gold coins, his bullion, his stocks and bonds. He put them all in the middle of the floor, covered them with a mat, huge pile, and then told Ratthapala's former wives to come and to really deck out and wear their tightest clothing, low-cut clothing, all their jewels, you know, the perfume called samsara, and, you know, be ready. And then, you know, it says, when night had ended, the Venerable Ratthapala's father had good food of various kinds prepared in his own house, and had the time announced to the Venerable Ratthapala, "It is time, dear Ratthapala, the meal is ready." Okay, so now we're going to continue. Then, it being morning, the Venerable Ratthapala dressed, and taking his bowl and outer robe, he went to his own father's house, and sat down on the seat made ready. Then his father had the pile of gold coins and bullion uncovered, and said, "Dear Ratthapala, this is your material fortune. Your paternal fortune is another, and your this is your maternal fortune. Your paternal fortune is another, and your ancestral fortune is yet another. Dear Ratthapala, you can enjoy the wealth and make merit. Come then, dear, abandon the training and return to the low life. Enjoy the wealth and make merit." So, dear Ratthapala, my dear son, I'm going to give you $1 million to start off your career. You can then go to Manhattan and build the Ratthapala Towers. And I advise, don't build any Ratthapala casinos. That's not going to go too well. But Ratthapala Towers is good. And actually, even better, you should set up a chain of Dharma centers and monasteries, Ratthapala monasteries, Ratthapala Dharma centers. You can have the whole world come and stay there. Set up a spa inside the Dharma centers, you know, a spa and like all these nice things and good food, and you know, anybody can go to whatever bathroom they want to, and you know, invite the whole world to come to your Ratthapala monasteries. Have them, you know, put one on the beach in Thailand, one on the beach in Malibu. You know, you can build them in really beautiful places. Have a ski lift there nearby, so they can go in the winter, and it would be beautiful, Ratthapala. I mean, you can really make a lot of money, and this would be very good. And then your name will be all over the place. Yeah, and Ratthapala didn't show very much interest in that. So Daddy thought, well, maybe he's just not cut out to be a businessman. So Daddy tried another thing. He said, look, Ratthapala, you know, you went to Harvard, you got your engineering degree, yeah? You worked really hard getting your engineering degree. I paid a ton of money for you to go to college, yeah? I worked so hard for you to go to college, and you worked hard in college, and you went to Harvard, and then you went to Yale for your graduate work, and you got your engineering PhD in Cambridge, you know. And so, look, Ratthapala, you just can't throw in the towel now, not with that kind of education behind you. You know, I mean, what do you want to do with your life, Ratthapala? This is serious business. The world needs engineers. Yeah, and you can contribute so much. Yeah, we need Buddhist engineers, Ratthapala. So, you know, kind of, really, you know, and with your kind of education, and don't you, you know, look, Ratthapala, when you can make it really big, you have an engineering company, yeah, you join LinkedIn, you know? So you have a thing on LinkedIn, and you send out your name. Everybody, of course, accepts it because your daddy's so rich and they want to be close to you. But don't worry, you're not leaning on Daddy or anything. It's all your thing. And You know, and then you have a blog, a Ratthapala blog. You tell everybody all your beautiful engineering ideas. You start a new wave of engineering in this country. Imagine it. Then the Defense Department. Oh, I'm sorry, you don't like Defense Department. The Department of Housing. Do they still have that one? You know, it doesn't get much funding, but you'll rejuvenate it, and you'll become an engineer, and you will construct housing all over the country for the poor. Ratthapala, look, this is really good, you know? I mean, with your education, with your genius, you cannot throw this out. You've got to make a contribution to the world, Ratthapala. Ratthapala is sitting there, his stomach's growling by now. He doesn't say anything to Dad. You know, Dad's getting kind of desperate, really rather upset, because, you know, this is his only child, his only son, you know, and he's got to carry on the name of the family. And so then he brings out the wives. Okay, not one wife, many wives. But first, he says, Ratthapala says to his father, householder, if you would follow my advice, then have all this pile of gold coins and bullion loaded on carts and carried away to be dumped midstream in the river Ganges. Dad is not so happy. Ratthapala continues, why is that? Because, householder, on account of this, there will arise for you sorrow, lamentation, pain, grief, and despair. Okay, at that point, Mom and Dad said, okay, girls, hit him up. Then the Venerable Ratthapala's former wives clasped his feet and said to him, what are they like, my Lord's son, the nymphs for whose sake you lead the holy life? And Ratthapala says, we do not lead the holy life for the sake of nymphs, sisters. And they reply, our Lord's son, Ratthapala, calls us sisters. Ah, they cried, and right there they fainted. We are not your sisters, we are your wives. Then the Venerable Ratthapala told his father, householder, if there is a meal to be given, then give it. Do not harass us. Okay, so there the wives fainted on the floor on top of the pile of gold. And Dad tries again and says, Ratthapala, dear, look, you have all these beautiful wives. They love you so much. Don't call them sister. You know, look at this one. She looks so good this way. Look at this one. Look, Ratthapala, if you're not attracted to your wives, if you're gay, we'll get some young men here. You know, don't worry about it, Ratthapala. Whoever you want to be with, we'll get them here. It's not a problem. But you gotta come home. You know, you gotta come home. Ratthapala is like, you know, where's the pizza already? But he's not really so interested in the pizza. He just wants to get out of the house by now. So then they serve the meal, and Mom and Dad say, eat then, dear Ratthapala, the meal is ready. Okay. Then, with his own hands, the Venerable Ratthapala's father served and satisfied him with the various kinds of good food. Pizza, hot chocolate, yeah, a good store of junk food, Indian food, Chinese food, Thai food, Mexican food, yeah, even Tibetan food, in case he liked it. When the Venerable Ratthapala had eaten and had withdrawn his hand from the bowl, he stood up and uttered these stanzas, because it was tradition when people offered food to the Sangha, then the Sangha repaid their kindness by giving a Dharma talk. Okay. Okay, so Ratthapala says, behold a puppet here pranked out. I mean, the puppet's referring to his wives, okay? They're pranked out. I don't know, fainted out. A body built up out of sores, sick, an object for concern, where no stability abides. So his wife's body is gorgeous, but actually not so gorgeous. They're built up out of sores, they're sick, no stability. Behold a figure here pranked out, with jewelry and earrings too, a skeleton wrapped up in skin, made attractive by its clothes. Okay? So this skeleton with jewelry and rings, diamonds, gold, whatever, wrapped up in just a bunch of skin, and made attractive by all these beautiful clothes, I don't know if it was Calvin Klein or some other kind of designer, but definitely the latest one. Its feet adorned with henna dye. In ancient India, they took henna and they made beautiful patterns on people's hands and feet. Okay? Its feet adorned with henna dye and powder smeared upon its face. It may beguile a fool, but not a seeker of the further shore. The further shore is liberation, the other side of the ocean of samsara. Its hair is dressed in eightfold plaits? Anyway, eightfold, kind of like braids, isn't it? Yeah. And unguent smeared upon its eyes. It may beguile a fool, but not a seeker of the further shore. So whatever you do to this body, it doesn't change the very nature of the body. It's filthy. A filthy body well adorned, like a new painted Anjan Bhat. It may beguile a fool, but not a seeker of the further shore. Okay, so you may be all decked up. You may look like Ivanka Trump, but your body is still filth. The deer hunter set out the snare, but the deer did not spring the trap. Dad, you tried to catch me. You're not going to succeed. We ate the bait and now depart, leaving the hunters to lament. So his family is stalking him. He didn't spring the trap. He ate his lunch. He's leaving now. And Mom and Dad are going to lament. They can't talk their son out of it. After Venerable Ratthapala had stood up and uttered these stanzas, he went to King Kauravya's Meghasitra garden and sat down at the root of a tree for the day's abiding, for his day's meditation. Then King Kauravya addressed his gamekeeper thus: "Good gamekeeper, tidy up the Meghasira garden so that we may go to the pleasure garden to see a pleasing spot." So the king wants to go out and to his pleasure garden and have a good time. And the gamekeeper said, "Yes, sire." Now, while he was tidying up the Meghasira garden, the gamekeeper saw the Venerable Ratthapala seated at the root of a tree for the day's abiding. When he saw him, he went to King Kauravya and told him, "Sire, the Meghasira garden has been tidied up. The clansman Ratthapala is there, the son of the leading clan in this same town of Tulakotita, yeah, of whom you have always spoken highly. He is seated at the root of the tree for the day's abiding. So apparently the king knew about Ratthapala. I mean, he couldn't help but it, because the shrieks from his family's house were spreading all over the village. It was all over Facebook. There were tweets going out right, left, and center. You know, mom tweeting, we gave him this and he didn't respond, and dad saying, you know, we offered him this and again he didn't respond. And so it's all over social media. So of course the king knew what was going on. You know, they might have leaked a few emails, you know, between mom and dad who, you know, were writing to their friends and saying, look, can you loan us some money? Maybe we need more money to entice him back. And those emails got leaked to the press and out. And so anyway, the whole town knew about it. Okay, so the king says, then, good Migava, enough of the pleasure garden for today. Now we shall go to pay respects to that master, Ratthapala. Then saying, give away all the food that is prepared here. Yeah, that's interesting. The king gave away he's going to go out for a picnic and he's giving it away. King Kauravya had a number of state carriages prepared, and mounting one of them, accompanied by the other carriages, he drove out from Tulakotita with the full pomp of royalty to see the Venerable Ratthapala. So the president's coming. He's on Air Force One. He's arriving soon near your meditation spot. So the king drove thus as far as the road was passable for carriages, and then he dismounted from his carriage and went forward on foot with a following of the most eminent officials to where the Venerable Ratthapala was. Okay, so Air Force One landed, the president came out, you know, the whole cabinet was with him, and somehow the president got the entire Congress together and they went with him to visit Ratthapala. Can you imagine that? Ted Cruz, yeah, is coming, you know, followed by Mitch O'Connell and Paul Ryan, and, you know, all these people are out there following, well, they're not following the president. They would never do that. But, you know, they're going with the president. They wouldn't follow him. Okay, in the whole cabinet, you know, is coming. And they go out to see Venerable Ratthapala in all this pomp and circumstance. The king exchanged greetings with the Venerable Ratthapala, and when this courteous and amiable talk was finished, he stood at one side and said, here is an elephant rug. Let Master Ratthapala be seated on it. So an elephant rug, that's like the finest Persian carpet, you know, or finest rug made of Chinese silk, yeah, that he's offering him. And Ratthapala says, there is no need, great king. Sit down. I am sitting on my own mat. So I don't really care about your fancy seats. King Kauravya sat down on a seat made ready and said, Master Ratthapala, there are four kinds of loss. Because they have undergone these four kinds of loss, some people here shave off their hair and beard, put on the yellow robe, and go forth from the home life into homelessness. What are the four? They are loss through aging, loss through sickness, loss through wealth, and loss of relatives. So, in other words, you know, any dimwit who's going to ordain and do the spiritual life, it's because they couldn't succeed in worldly life. Yeah? They either lost their youth and attractiveness through aging, they lost their health through sickness, they lost their wealth because the stock market went down, and they lost their relatives, their family died. So they have nothing worthwhile to live for anymore, and so having nothing better to do, then they ordain. Yeah, it's a standard stereotype. You know, you couldn't succeed in your life, so you ordain. And okay, so the king continues. And what is the loss through aging? Here, Master Ratthapala, someone is old, aged, burdened with years, advanced in life, coming to the last stage. He considers thus: I am old, aged, burdened with years, advanced in life, come to the last stage. My Medicare is not sufficient. Yeah, I'm not getting enough from Social Security. They hadn't planned on me living this long. So it is no longer easy for me to acquire unacquired wealth or to augment wealth already acquired. I sold my business when I retired. I thought I had enough savings. It's all running out now. So then that person thinks, the king is saying, the person thinks, suppose I shave off my hair and beard, put on the yellow robe, and go forth from the home life into homelessness. Because he has undergone that loss through aging, he shaves off his hair and beard, puts on the yellow robe, and goes forth from the home life into homelessness. This is called loss through aging. But Master Ratthapala is now still young, a black-haired young man endowed with the blessing of youth in the prime of life. You could be a model for a magazine. You could join the Olympics. Master Ratthapala has not undergone any loss through aging. What has he known or seen that he has gone forth from the home life into homelessness? So what kind of craziness have you experienced that even though you're young, you have your whole life in front of you, you can do anything you want, that you've given that up? Okay, then the king continues. Yeah, so he's really puzzled. He's looking at Ratthapala and like, who is this guy? Why did he do what he did? I don't understand. So the king continues, and what is the loss through sickness? Here, Master Ratthapala, someone is afflicted, suffering, and gravely ill. He considers thus: I am afflicted, suffering, and gravely ill. It is no longer easy for me to acquire unacquired wealth or to augment wealth already acquired. Suppose I shave off my hair and beard, put on the yellow robe, and go forth from the home life into homelessness. Because he has undergone that loss through sickness, he shaves off his hair and beard, puts on the yellow robe, and goes forth from the home life into homelessness. This is called loss through sickness. But Master Ratthapala now is free from illness and affliction. He possesses a good digestion that is neither too cool nor too warm, but medium. Master Ratthapala has not undergone any loss through sickness. What has he known or seen that he has gone forth from home life into homelessness? Ratthapala, you're healthy. You can do anything. Your body works well. Yeah, why are you doing this crazy thing of giving all of that up? To wander around as a mendicant, when you're young and you're strong and you can do whatever you want. And then the king continues, and what is the loss of wealth? Here, Master Ratthapala, someone is rich, of great wealth, of great possessions. Gradually his wealth dwindles away. The stock market crashed. His casinos went broke. He considers thus: formerly I was rich, of great wealth, of great possessions. Gradually my wealth has dwindled away. It is no longer easy for me for me to acquire unacquired wealth, or to augment wealth already acquired. Suppose I shave off my hair and beard, put on the yellow robe, and go forth from the home life into homelessness. Because he has undergone that loss of wealth, because he has undergone that loss of wealth, he shaves off his hair and beard, puts on the yellow robe, and goes forth from the home life into homelessness. This is called the loss of wealth. But Master Ratthapala, is the son of a leading clan in this same Tulakotita. Master Ratthapala has not undergone any loss of wealth. What has he known or seen that he has gone forth from the home life into homelessness? You have a good life, kid. You know, your dad's the richest person in town with a high status. What's wrong with you? Okay, and the king continues, and what is the loss of relatives? Here, Master Ratthapala, someone has many friends and companions, kinsmen and relatives and wives and mistresses and anybody you want, many people around that flatter you and tell you you're wonderful and give you emotional support and hug you when you're feeling down and uplift you. But gradually those relatives of his dwindle away. He considers thus, formerly I had many friends and companions, kinsmen and relatives. Gradually those relatives of mine have dwindled away. It is no longer easy for me to acquire unacquired wealth, or to augment wealth already acquired. Suppose I shave off my hair and beard, put on the yellow robe, and go forth from the home life into homelessness. Because he has undergone that loss of relatives, you know, I mean, his mother died, his father died, his wife died. Anyway, his wives are, you know, his boyfriends are all old anyway, they don't look so attractive. You know, his friends have died. He doesn't have the emotional support he wants. He doesn't have the sensual pleasure he's used to. He doesn't have his old friends to go out to the pub with. Yeah, so this, you know, because he has undergone that loss of relatives, he shaves off his hair and beard, puts on the yellow robe, and goes forth from the home life into homelessness. Okay, so this is called the loss of relatives. But Master Ratthapala has many friends and companions, kinsmen and relatives in this same Tulakotita. You're surrounded by people who love you, Ratthapala. You don't need to worry. Always somebody's going to praise you, give you emotional support, tell you you're wonderful. You have 20 best friends. You always have that special relationship with somebody. Okay, Master Ratthapala has not undergone any of the loss of relatives. What has he known or seen that he has gone forth from the home life into homelessness? Yeah. Master Ratthapala, these are the 4 kinds of loss. Because they have undergone these 4 kinds of loss, some people here shave off their hair and beard, put on the yellow robe, and go forth from home life into homelessness. Ratthapala has not undergone any of these. What has he known or seen that he has gone forth from the home life into homelessness? Yeah. Because I, the king, cannot figure it out. You have the ideal life. Why are you giving it up? This is foolishness. So Ratthapala responds, Great King, there are 4 summaries of the Dhamma that have been taught by the Blessed One who knows and sees, accomplished and fully enlightened. Knowing and seeing and hearing them, I went forth from the home life into homelessness. What are the 4? So this is the teaching that the Buddha gave that Ratthapala took to heart. That really changed his mind. Okay, so first, life in any world is unstable. It is swept away. It goes towards aging and death. It doesn't stay. You stay for a single moment, you know. You're young at the beginning, and each moment you're in the process of getting older. Your companions, your wives, all the beautiful people around you are young now, but every moment they're in the process of getting older. Okay? So this is, and yeah, everything is swept away. It's here and it's gone. This is the first summary of the Dhamma taught by the Blessed One, who knows and sees, accomplished and fully enlightened. Knowing and seeing and hearing this, I went forth from the home life into homelessness. Okay. Then second, life in any world has no shelter and no protector. There's nobody around who is always going to be on your side. There's nobody who can save you from aging, sickness, and death. When you're lying on your deathbed, you have to go alone, even if you're surrounded by all your friends and family, crying at your bedside, holding your hand, saying, we love you so much, you can't leave us. There's absolutely nothing that they can do. Yeah, in your daily life, when you have problems, other people can't fix them for you. Your problems are caused by karma. You know, the only way to fix them is to change your mental, physical, and verbal actions. So this is the second summary of the Dhamma taught by the Blessed One, who knows and sees, accomplished and fully enlightened. Knowing and seeing and hearing this, I went forth from the home life into homelessness. Then 3, life in any world. And so when he keeps saying life in any world, it's not just life here in this country or on this planet, but anywhere in cyclic existence, no matter what realm you're born in cyclic existence, where you're born, the situation is the same. So life in any world has nothing of its own. One has to leave and pass on. One has to leave all and pass on. So everything you accumulate, all your wealth, your possessions, your house, your stamp collection, your collection of Buddha statues, everything you have to leave behind, okay? You have to leave behind your friends and family. Yeah, you can't take them with you. If they haven't died beforehand, you die and you're the one who leaves them. Your whole social status, you've created an ego identity for yourself. You're known in society as a person of this career or a person of upstanding character. You have a reputation. This all can't go with you. You have to leave it too. So everything you've done in your whole life to create and substantiate this feeling of me, none of it lasts. It all just crumbles at the time of death. Okay, so one has to leave all and pass on. This is the third summary of the Dharma taught by the Blessed One, who knows and sees, accomplished and fully enlightened. Knowing and seeing and hearing this, I went forth from the home life into homelessness. Then 4, life in any world is incomplete, insatiate, the slave of craving. Yeah, whatever you do, wherever you go, whatever you have, whoever you're with, you're never satisfied. Yeah, never ever. Even you go to a Dharma center, you're never satisfied. The chanting is better on the other side of the meditation hall. The robes are nicer in the other tradition. The other teacher teaches a better path. Wherever you go, whatever you do, you're not going to be satisfied. Why not? Because your mind is unsatisfied. Your mind is ignorant and filled with craving and attachment. It's a slave to craving. So no matter what you get, Yeah, you finally get the perfect monastic schedule that you've been pressing for years for the monastery to adapt. You're still not happy. You finally have total control of the kitchen, and you finally get enough protein and you get enough sugar, and and still you're not happy. You finally have control over the chanting. And finally they sing on tune. They're not too fast, they're not too slow. When they do walking meditation, they don't look like soldiers. Finally, you're able to control them and make the chanting and the walking meditation go well. Finally, and you're still not happy. Okay. Finally, you've convinced the people who wash the dishes of the right place to put the spatulas. And they all put the spatulas there. And you finally have gotten through to the community. You've made a catio. That's a cat version of a patio. You've made a catio, and it has a tube, a walkway, lined with velvet for your precious kitties to walk from the main house to their catio, which is as big as the main house itself, with many levels, and soft blankets and so many good scratch pads for all your precious kitties. You finally got that for your kid. Everything finally you've done, and the community's gone along with it. Okay? But yeah, life in any world is incomplete, insatiate, the slave of craving. So this is the fourth summary of the Dhamma taught by the Blessed One, who knows and sees, accomplished and fully enlightened. Knowing and seeing and hearing this, I went forth from the home life into homelessness. So I gave up having my way. Oh, what a sacrifice. They can wash the dishes however they want. I don't care whether they keep the rota for vacuuming the floor. They can paint the posts outside the hall whenever they want. I don't care anymore. Okay, I've gone forth from home life into homelessness. Okay, so great King, these are the four summaries of the Dhamma that have been taught by the Blessed One, who knows and sees, accomplished and fully enlightened. Knowing and seeing and hearing them, I went forth from home life into homelessness. Okay, now the King speaks again. And the King says, Ratthapala said, life in any world is unstable. It is swept away. How should the meaning of that statement be understood? And Ratthapala says, what do you think, great King? When you were 20 or 25 years old, were you an expert rider of elephants, an expert horseman, an expert charioteer, an expert archer, an expert swordsman, strong in thighs and arms, sturdy, capable in battle? Could you take your red Ferrari and race it through those streets faster than anybody else without getting a ticket? And the King replies, when I was 20 or 25 years old, Master Ratthapala, I was an expert rider in elephants, an expert horseman, an expert charioteer, an expert archer, an expert swordsman, strong in thighs and arms, sturdy, capable in battle. Yeah. I went to the Olympics 5 times and I have 21 gold medals. No, is it 21 gold medals or 21 medals? 25 medals, or 25? 22 gold. 22 gold and maybe 25, medals. I got them in the Olympics. This is fantastic, you know. Mom and Dad were so pleased with me. Yeah, I went off, I fell down the slope a little bit in there, but I got myself back and I won some more gold medals, and, you know. And the king continues, sometimes I wonder if I had supernormal power then. I do not see anyone, I do not see anyone who could equal me in strength. Okay? I am invincible. Age 20, 25, you are invincible, aren't you? The Lord of Death doesn't see you. It doesn't know your name. You know, you can conquer everything. Okay, Ratthapala then says to the king, what do you think, great king? Are you now as strong in thighs and arms, as sturdy and as capable in battle? No, Master Ratthapala. Now I am old, aged, burdened with years, advanced in life, come to my last stage. I have arthritis. I have a dislocated back. You know, I'm on a respirator half the day. The other half of the day something happens, I can breathe, but half the day I'm on the respirator. I have to go for dialysis, you know, 4 times a week. I mean, it's not easy. My body is old. I can't do what I used to do, you know. And everybody who used to like me now doesn't like being around me because I'm so old. They think I have Alzheimer's. I don't have Alzheimer's, Ratthapala, but they all think I have Alzheimer's. I mean, just because I think that I'm king of 2 kingdoms, not just 1 kingdom, they think that I'm out of my mind. I'm not. I'm king of 2 kingdoms, you know? Just because they think, just because, you know, I sometimes forget my name, it's really because I have so many names, so many epithets. But they think that I have Alzheimer's because of that. I don't have Alzheimer's. What were we talking about, Ratthapala? Okay. Sometimes, and the king continues, yeah, I've come to the last stage. My years have turned 80. Sometimes I mean to put my foot here, and I put my foot somewhere else. Then I fall down and go boom in the mud. Yeah. And I can't pick myself up, and I have to call 911. Ratthapala says, great king, it was on account of this that the Blessed One, who knows and sees, accomplished and fully enlightened, said, life in any world is unstable, it is swept away. And when I knew and saw and heard this, I went forth from the home life into homelessness. So, you know, I had the fortune of meeting the Dharma when I was young. I heard what the Buddha said. It was true. I followed it, you know. So that's what he's explaining to the king. That's why I did this. And the king says, it is wonderful, Master Ratthapala. It is marvelous how well that has been expressed by the Blessed One, who knows and sees, accomplished and fully enlightened. Life in any world is unstable. It is swept away. It is indeed so. Master Ratthapala, there exists, as the king is continuing, Master Ratthapala, there exists in this court elephant troops and cavalry, and chariot troops and infantry. We have 10 of the 11 existing nuclear-powered submarines. No, nuclear-powered aircraft carriers. Yeah, we have so much in this country. You know, we have more nuclear weapons, we hope, than anybody else. We have a candidate with itchy fingers, but never mind. Yeah, but we have the best military in the whole world. You know, we can bomb everybody to death if we want to. Yeah. I mean, we have some problem with all these militants. You know, we can't seem to deal with them so correctly, but we can do everything else. So the chariot and infantry, you know, we have the Navy SEALs, we have the Army Rangers, we have the Marine Green Berets, you know, we have everybody to serve to subdue any threats to us. Now, Master Ratthapala said, life in any world has no shelter and no protector. How should the meaning of that statement be understood? We have all these armaments. And why did we make them if we're not going to use them? And Ratthapala says, what do you think, great king? Do you have any chronic ailment? Oy vey, do I have chronic ailments? Glad you asked, Ratthapala. I have a chronic wind ailment, Master Ratthapala. Sometimes my friends and companions, kinsmen and relatives stand around me thinking, now King Kauravya is about to die. Now King Kauravya is about to die. Yeah, and that's not the least of my problems. You know, I already told you, Ratthapala, I'm on dialysis. I have a cancer diagnosis. It's all over my body, you know, and I have osteoporosis, and I have arthritis, and yeah, I have some chronic ailments. So Ratthapala says, what do you think, great king? Can you command your friends and companions, your kinsmen and relatives, saying, come, my good friends and companions, my kinsmen and relatives, all of you present, share this painful feeling so that I may feel less pain? Or do you have to feel that pain yourself alone? Yeah? So can you take any of your ailments and pass them off to somebody else who will suffer them for you? And the king says, I cannot command my friends and companions, my kinsmen and relatives thus, Master Ratthapala. I have to feel that pain alone. Great king, it was on account of seeing this that the Blessed One who knows and sees, accomplished and fully enlightened, said, life in any world has no shelter and no protector. And when I knew and saw and heard this, I went forth from the home life into homelessness. It is wonderful, Master Ratthapala, says the king. It is marvelous how well that has been expressed by the Blessed One, who knows and sees, accomplished and fully enlightened. Life in any world has no shelter and no protector. It is indeed so. Okay, then the king says, Master Ratthapala, there exists in this court abundant gold coins and bullion stored away in vaults and depositories. We have, you know, so much stock, we don't know what to do with it. We have so much bond. We have mortgages. You know, we really hit it big with a mortgage. We're going to exploit everybody else and make a ton of money because with all the mortgage things. We own a hedge fund. Now, Master Ratthapala said, life in any world has nothing of its own. One has to leave all and pass beyond. How should the meaning of that statement be understood when we have so much? You know, we have not only this wealth, but, you know, we have a house in the mountains, we have a house in the beach, we have a house in the city, you know, a penthouse. We have everything. Ratthapala says, "What do you think, great king? You now enjoy yourself, provided and endowed with the 5 cords, the 5 objects of sensual pleasure. Okay, you have all the chocolate cake you could want. You have all the chocolate mint ice cream you like. You have all the shepherd's pie filled with starch. You know, you have so many potatoes. Yeah, you have as much carbs as you want, and you also have as much protein as you want. You have as much cheese as you want. The good cheese, not the cheap one, but the really good, expensive, finesse kind of cheese. You know, you have all of that. You know, all the 5 chords of sensual pleasure. Yeah, the music is always the kind you like. Yeah, you don't have to listen to anybody complaining around you. You don't have to listen to a truck driving up in the middle of the night with a racing engine. Did you hear that a couple of nights ago? Oh, it was incredible. I don't know, 11:30 or something. Some truck with this super noisy engine came racing up, you know, in front of Chenrezig. I thought I was going to have to go out and see who they were, but they turned around and went back. Anyway, you don't have to listen to all of that. Okay. Yes. So you have all the objects of sense pleasure, but will you be able to have it of the life to come? Can you take it with you to your next life? Let me likewise enjoy myself, provided and endowed with these same 5 chords of sensual pleasure in my next life. Or will others take over this property while you will have to pass on according to your actions? So will you have all this wealth, or when you die, does it all get left behind? All your relatives fight over it. They have big fights over it, and you go on with nothing. Okay, and the king says, "I cannot have it thus of the life to come, Master Ratthapala. On the contrary, others will take over this property. I don't know what they're going to do. I furnish the house in a certain way. They may take all the furniture out that I like and make it into a yoga studio, and I can't control it. You know, on the contrary, others will take over this property, why I shall have to pass on according to my karma." The Ratthapala says, "Great king, it was on account of this that the Blessed One who knows and sees, accomplished and fully enlightened, said, 'Life in any world has nothing of its own. One has to leave all and pass on.' And when I knew and saw this, when I knew and saw and heard this, I went forth from the home life into homelessness." The king again said, "It is wonderful, Master Ratthapala. It is marvelous how well that has been expressed by the Blessed One, who knows and sees, accomplished and fully enlightened. Life in any world has nothing of its own. One has to leave and pass it on. It is indeed so." So Ratthapala is being extremely skillful with the king. You know, he spoke first of himself, and then when the king, he didn't say, to point to the king and say, you. Ratthapala spoke first of his own situation. Then when the king asked further questions, again, instead of giving a direct answer, he asked the king to look at his own experience. Because if he had just told the king would have gone, yeah. But he asked the king the question, you know, is your body as young and powerful as it used to? Can you hang on to your wealth in future lives? Will all your armaments and military protect you from all the terrorists in the world? You know, and then the king had to look at his own life and see for himself and come to the conclusion for himself that none of those things were worthwhile. So we're really seeing Ratthapala's skillfulness here. And then to go on to the fourth one. Now Master Ratthapala, the king's saying, now Master Ratthapala said, life in any world is incomplete, insatiate, the slave of craving. How should the meaning of that statement be understood? And Ratthapala says, what do you think, great king? Do you reign over the rich Kuru country? Yes, Master Ratthapala, I do. What do you think, great king? Suppose a trustworthy and reliable man came to you from the east and said, please know, great king, that I have come from the east, and there I saw a large country, powerful and rich, very populous and crowded with people. They had the latest technological stuff. Their export was far greater than ours. All their people are employed, you know, and they're overtaking us on the world market. Yeah, there are plenty of elephant troops there, plenty of cavalry, chariot troops and infantry. In fact, they're even building up islands off their coast to make their own territory larger. There's plenty of ivory there, so there's plenty of gold coins and bullion, both worked and unworked, and plenty of women for wives. Yeah, there's Miss Sweden and Miss Azerbaijan and so and so. You know, you can have your own beauty contests there. Yeah, with your present forces, you can conquer it. Conquer it then, great king. So if somebody from the east came and told you that there existed a country like that, what would you do? The king said, we would conquer it and reign over it, Master Ratthapala. Of course. Then Ratthapala says, what do you think, great king? Suppose a trustworthy and reliable man came to you from the west, you know, and then the whole scene from the west, and then from the north, and that whole scene from the north, and from the south, and said, please know, great king, that I have come from the south, and there I saw a large country, powerful and rich, very populous and crowded with people, with a great economy. There are plenty of elephant troops there, plenty of cavalry, chariot troops and infantry. There's plenty of ivory there, and plenty of gold coins and bullion, both worked and unworked, and plenty of wisdom and women. Yeah. Oops. Plenty of wisdom. You have, you know, all your Miss whatever, you know, pageants there. Yeah, with your present forces, you can conquer it. Conquer it then, great king. So if someone said that to you, great king, what would you do? Okay, we would conquer it too and reign over it, Master Ratthapala. Great king, says Ratthapala, it was on account of this that the Blessed One who knows and sees, accomplished and fully enlightened, said life in any world is incomplete, insatiate, the slave of craving. And when I knew and saw, I heard this, I went forth from home life into homelessness. Okay, so all of a sudden the king realized, you know, he can conquer the whole world. But what good is it going to be? It is wonderful, Master Ratthapala, says the king. It is marvelous how well that has been expressed by the Blessed One, who knows and sees, accomplished and fully enlightened. Life in any world is incomplete, insatiate, the slave of craving. It is indeed so. Okay, so we're going to pause here, and then there's 2 more pages, which we'll do tomorrow. Comments? Questions? A lot to think about, huh?
The Buddha told this story.
It's Ananda who's reciting it at the first council. So, you know, the Ananda knew the story, apparently from the Buddha. Yeah, it was either the Buddha or Ratthapala, or maybe somebody else told him afterwards. Yeah.
It's just interesting that between the precious garland and the sutta, that the Buddha and the Holy Ones spent a lot of time and shared a lot of wisdom with those in power.
Yeah.
And that from some of the stories, it sounds like they got it on a lot of levels. So they put their wisdom in the direction of those who have great influence and can really determine the well-being of so many people.
Yeah.
So you guys going along precious garland.
Yeah. Yeah. So if you can do that without yourself getting corrupted, you know, you really have to be at a certain level to be able to relate to those people without getting corrupted.